Hi, I'm Layla. I'm the program manager for the Building Bridges Documentary Fund. Thank you all so much for being here. I think I'm sitting here, but I also I'm very grateful. Thank you, Sue, for putting together an amazing space. I've cried about 3 times since I've been here, and Zeba for your mentorship and guidance and stewardship, and all of the filmmakers. It's like been such a beautiful space to get to know you all even more. And I wanted to just again give a plug that everybody should be going on Deadline because our 15 filmmakers are featured that are the first cohort of the Building Bridges Documentary Fund. So that's a huge shout out to them. Amazing projects that you might have seen parts of them at the watch party last night. But they will be floating around throughout the year as well and need community. So please always get to know them, their projects. So I want to introduce our panelists, Mo Nakvi, Tali, Yula, a filmmaker, Maurizio, and Christy from Kenema. In any order you choose. Well, I wanted to start off, I wanted you all to kind of go down the line and just give a quick introduction of who you are and projects that you're working on right now and what you do. So Christy, we could start with you.
Sure. Hi, I'm Christy Marchese. I founded a company called Kinema. We're a platform for independent distribution. So we work with filmmakers to do global screening tours and direct-to-audience distribution. I previously started a company called Picture Motion, which is an impact agency in 2012. Yay, thanks. And we sold it to Publicis Media about 5 months ago. And we have lots of different projects, one of which is right here, so I'll pass it to Maurizio.
I'm Christy Project. My name is Maurizio Benazzo. First of all, I want to say that it's very weird. It's very weird to be here by myself without my partner, the love of my life, Zaya. We always do things together since we met 17 years ago. So it's, yeah, always, it's an honor. It's an honor to be with each and every one of you. We make documentaries. We started 17 years ago making creating an organization called Science and Non-Duality, SAND. And this organization used to put together, it does put together, mystics of all tradition with scientists, quantum physicists, neuroscientists, to talk about the big question of life. But when we met, we were a filmmaker, and in the last 5 years, we are back into making movies. So the last 2 movies we did, it's The Wisdom of Trauma with Gabor Mate. Oh yeah, somebody saw it. And the last movie came out this July, is Where Olive Trees Weep. You're doing good. So yes, so the point we self-distribute all our movie, no many contact, if at all, with the main industry. And yeah, I stop here, and then later we can talk about the next movie. Mo.
Hi everyone, my name is Mohammed Ali, or Mo, as many of you might know me. First of all, I had this moment yesterday, and I was just sharing this with Sue. We're on Main Street at Sundance, and people, mashallah, there was a call to prayer, and people were praying. Do you know how amazing that is? It's phenomenal, and just I don't like to singularly identify myself as a filmmaker who came of age during 9/11, but I certainly did, because I was in New York. I had just graduated college, and I'd witnessed 9/11, and I firsthand experienced, like many of my friends, many of who are in the audience, post 9/11, and the Islamophobia, and what that was. And I always wanted to be a filmmaker, a storyteller. In fact, at that time, I was working on off Broadway, and doing a lot of plays. But that seminal moment of 9/11 kind of forced me to go into documentary making and nonfiction. I do both. I actually do scripted as well, and I've been, mashallah, I've been so blessed the last 20 years to continue making films and series for some of the biggest platforms like Netflix, HBO Max. I've worked with Showtime, Paramount, and I'm really, really blessed. But for me, it was such an emotional moment. The fact that, God, I would have killed to have this 25 years ago, or 20 years ago. And the fact that it exists, and there's like a whole crop of younger, inspiring filmmakers coming up. So God bless you. And so, yeah.
I'll just address the elephant in the room. Distribution is like, we're all, how do we do it? Like, how do we make it happen? So when Sue asked me to moderate this panel, I was like, yes, please, because I'm still in the filmmaking, world, even though I'm now program managing as well, and I feel like so much of my questions is my own curiosity about this. So I wanted to start off by asking you all about your guiding principles around distribution and how and why that's informed the unique paths that you all have taken in that space. And so again, I'll just kind of start with you, Christy, if you could tell us a little bit about that.
Sure, I can and speak to it from kind of our guiding principles for how we built the platform for
Tell us
Kinema.
about give us the Kinema top line verse.
Sure. So it's a platform. Essentially, we provide an operating system for filmmakers to manage global screening tours, everything from licensing to payments to film delivery, whether it's an online screening or in person, data sharing, report tracking, and ideally paying out very, very quickly. You can probably describe better than me at this point. But some of the guiding principles we had there in building it were what was important. And first was basic film security. But after that, it was maintaining rights and ownership. So we want to make sure that obvious if you're running your campaign, you own the rights to your film. Second was transparency, saying in real time or as fast as possible where your bookings are happening, where they're taking place, and who's booking them. So from a report system that you have to emails you get. Third was revenue. So we learned from other filmmakers, whether you were with a distributor or not, you often were getting paid quarterly or yearly, and there were deductions made for marketing. So the idea was that we want to pay out as fast as possible, so you get paid out weekly. And your revenue never goes into our bank account. It goes into a little holding account for you in Stripe, and it's released after your events have passed. So it was transparency, it was revenue driving, of course security, and maintaining ownership. And I'd say like a second part of that, which has come later, is education. So what we found is there's a lot of best practices we've learned, so we're trying to find new ways to share that information as much as possible. So when like Maurizio's on panels like this helps, but also how can we capture what you've done and put it in a case study or in a video podcast or on the distribution playbook and share that information so everyone can extrapolate from that and apply it to their film.
Amazing. Sounds very also like of the future to self-distro and go this route. Like, how did you all, what was kind of the creation of this, the why?
It's if anyone's in the tech space, like we're not Web3, we're not crypto, we don't go there. But we're Web3 principles of what's called ownership, maintaining ownership, and distributed networks. So I think it was really born out of the work we did at Picture Motion, and it wasn't too futuristic in a sense. We were running these screening tours and it had built this process of how do you pitch, do outreach, pitch the film to an organization, get the right pricing for it, deliver the film, and then it was just how do we bring that online and make it accessible to everyone so you don't have to pay just our agency to run that for you. Let's use technology to make it easier and cheaper to essentially do it yourself.
Amazing. Maurizio.
First of all, I want to say something unrelated, but deeply, deeply related. My ancestors are dancing in joy for each and every one of you be here in this moment. It's seriously, it's has been, as you said, seeing the prayer and seeing the spirit of each and every one of you here has been touching me deeply. So I just want to say that. Now, distribution. So we were organizing this event, this conference, and COVID appeared, and we were making this movie with Gabor Mate, and we started to make events online, and then we had to finish the movie, The Wisdom of Trauma, and we had this movie in our hand, and clearly nobody wanted it, because we called these few, we are not in the industry at all. So we called somebody, hey, can you, they called Netflix, and everybody said, nobody wanted it. They said, oh, I really like it personally, but it's not for us. And then we realized, what are we doing here? We have everything in our hand to do it ourselves. Have you heard about the internet, right? There is people who sells whatever, and they make it viral. So we put the movie out. I mean, we organize it we got a good marketing person on our side, and we organize an online event on the topic of the film. So if your movie has a specific topic, let's say our movie was trauma, okay? So we organized 21 or 28 talks with major therapists. See, we are always together. No, please. With major therapists, and people starting to come in. Artists join us. Sia, I don't know if you remember Sia, if you know Sia, she calls, I want to be part of this. And then at the last minute, she wanted to do audio only, and the last minute she said, no, I want to be myself. And she came on video with her face, with no makeup. She was so beautiful to have this, right? So we organized these events because we wanted to create something more. Since we have a topic that is very important, we want to give more than just the film, because we want to avoid the fact, oh, that was such a good movie, honey. Right? We want to give you something, so you have this 20-something talk and you can get deeper. And the other thing that made a difference in our distribution approach, that we decided that we cannot have a barrier, a monetary barrier about the movie. So the movie was by donation only, including $0. If you cannot afford it, why? Yeah, I want to change the world. We are here to make the world a better place. I mean, so the movie has to be free. And when you watch it for free, you're going to send it to 20 friends. One of them will give me something. And I can pay our team. It worked like a charm. I mean, what's the most famous, important marketing plot in the history of humanity? The Catholic Church. They don't charge at the door. I mean, I'm Italian, so I know. So that's the what? Oh, the number. So we opened the. She's not dog. She's incredible. This woman is incredible. Seriously, I bow to you. See, always. We opened the movie and we thought, oh, there will be 30,000 U.S. therapists. 5,000 of them will bitch about, and the other 25 will like it. We opened it, everything fell apart. 5 million people all over the world saw the movie. The first week. That's the first week. We are now at about over 10 million views, which means 15, 20 million people saw it. That's how bizarre it was. And again, it was a perfect storm. You know, Gabor Mate, COVID, the topic, whatever, all of it. So, and now, what I want to say is basically to make it together. I can talk for 7 days.
Well, I wanted to ask about that because I think part of that too is you're talking about you have an inherent audience built in for your work. So could you talk about how you activate them?
If you find your audience, you have your audience, you make a movie about trauma. We went to all the organizations who deal about trauma. I said, hey, do you want to promote these movies? Do you want to fundraise for you? And we offer them an affiliate program. So all the money the people in your mailing list are giving to us, they come to you 50%. And as you know, 50% is better than 50% of something is better than 100% of nothing, right? So if I come to your organization and you have 300,000 people on the topic that I am talking about, those 300 people will be very motivated. And they will watch the movie and they come to me and you fundraise for yourself. Another thing, we are a non-profit organization. We are a 501c3 organization since day one. So, what else?
Well,
Zaya, what else?
I wanted to go to Mo next because you have a different path altogether with Among the Believers, for example, and going through sales agents, which is vastly different. So can you talk a little bit about your journey and your principles with distro?
Sure, and I think it's easy to kind of divide a lot of my work in two buckets. One is I've been commissioned and I have my distribution and financing and everything tied up from the get-go, even before we begin principal photography and all that. And then the others is more independent projects where I've kind of gone in and cobbled together grant and equity and financing over many, many years, and then released at a festival, and then also worked with sales agents to slowly sell it territory by territory and that's a long, long process. I completely agree with Maurizio is that you need to know your people. That's, I think, universal, whether you go my path or even his path. You need to know your people because you certainly have your own audience. And I think especially when you're thinking about distribution, you should start thinking about distribution before you're going to go make the film even. And that will also inform, not just from a business standpoint, but even from an artistic standpoint. You'll unpack your film and actually see what it is that really resonates with you. Why are you telling this story? And who are your champions and who are the people that would connect with that story? I think that's so super important. I'll give you an example in my own career. One of the early, actually, it was the first feature documentary I've ever made, which coincidentally was the most easiest pitch I've ever done in my life. It was a film called Shame, back in 2004. It was the first time I'd just been out of college a few years, and my first feature. I wrote a 2-page treatment on the topic, and I had shot for 3 days of just footage, just basic interviews, and I just showed that. And Showtime commissioned the whole thing, 100% of the film. Wow. And so from pitch to getting greenlit and to then me going into pre-production was 6 weeks. That does not happen at all. And then, you know, I was lucky, we premiered it at TIFF at Toronto when it came out, and then since Showtime, it was their property, I mean, they fully commissioned it, they worked as the sales agents, and at that time, it wasn't, this is all pre-streaming, so they worked CBS Paramount, their international division, and then they sold it to the different territories. And so that's one example, and that has not ever happened to me ever again. So, and I don't think that, I hope it happens again, and for you guys or whatever.
I feel like it's very rare now.
Yeah,
that sounds like.
And then there's another path, kind of similar to what I did with Among the Believers, or another film that I did called Inshallah Democracy, where our production period was 5, 6, 7 years, and we pieced together financing through grants, and we kept on filming a bit, getting grants, filming a bit, getting grants. I premiered Inshallah Democracy in 2017, I believe, at ITFA. Mm-hmm. And I didn't have a sales agent when I first premiered, which was kind of different to a few of the other films. Eventually, we got Rocco Films, San Francisco Bay Area-based sales agent, and then we were able to get a few months later some sales in. We got some sales with some of the European broadcasters at BBC Storyville, Artes at DF, where they navigated that space. And just to kind of give you a little bit of a timeline, we began making sales in Europe and some other Asian territories in 2017, 2018, and then eventually we sold almost a year and a half later in America to Starz and Lionsgate. And and by the way, it doesn't end there. The thing about documentary films is that they can have a really, really long life, like 3, 4, 5 years even after your film is done. And that's where you're working with picture motion, right? Like impact distribution and that kind of comes into play.
But tell us how you got a sales agent. How do you engage with a sales agent? And when do you engage with a sales agent? If that's the way that a filmmaker maybe wants to go in order to distribute their film, because I hear a lot about that from filmmakers, like, should I not? You know, there's no right or wrong way, but if they decide to do that, what are the pros and cons, and how should they engage with somebody like that?
I think one of the first factors is just to see their previous body of work and how effectively they've been able to navigate some of the terrain, and you guys more so than anyone know your own specific film and some of the challenges and barriers that we already have inbuilt, given the fact that we're doing Muslim films, we're doing international films, we might be doing films that are not necessarily in English language. So you want to see what their track record and success has been in that, and if you're looking at some of like the top tier sales agents, mm-hmm. they want to see or want to see what festival you get into first, and then they're going to try to pack their slates of the films that are opening at Sundance, Tribeca, Berlin, wherever, etc. So I've had both. Once for Among the Believers, for example, we signed with our sales agent literally right before our premiere, and then with Inshallah Democracy and this other film, The Accused, it was a few months after our premiere. So, and it was during the whole festival. So it's both. And
so you need to be kind of like towards the cusp of like picture lock with your film or at a festival level before you engage with.
Just to kind of give you, because a lot of, and I'm sure a lot of the documentary filmmakers are applying for grants, and so they're also being tracked by distributors and sales agents, like what is out there in the ether, you know what I mean? And so it's not like, it's very rare that you get into a really top festival and no one really knows anything about your film. That certainly happens, but because you've been part of some fellowships or you've been part of some grants or something, some of these sales agents make direct contact with you anyway, and they're already tracking your project, you know? That doesn't mean certainly go sign with them, and also that doesn't mean start sharing your stuff with them early or whatever. Your strength is how fresh your film is, how much you can actually protect it without like actually sharing it with anyone too much. So you have to be a little precious about that, you know, because with sales agents and even with this industry, I'm sure you'll see, it's a very gossipy industry, and like it's just a few people who all know each other, and you do this enough, you'll understand whose tastes are what, and who to go to with a sports doc, who to go to with a, you know, first-person doc, who to go with like a personal documentary, and you begin to kind of get that. And you can kind of like be strategic. In fact, one of the things I was just talking about, like let's say you want to make a Muslim first-person coming-of-age documentary, for example, right? And it's Muslim American, for example. Then you might not want to go directly through Disney or Nat Geo. You might want to go through Onyx, you know, because ultimately it's the executives at some of these spaces. They're going to be your champions. They're going to be your little Pokemons that you can equip with, you know, your story, and they're going to fight for getting their film, champion your film, and convince their bosses, you know, so.
Yeah. Having them have their buy-in to participate in the work with you, Maritza, one of the things we were talking about earlier was this concept, which you really talked about, which is money v. mutual aid in distributing your films, and I also wanted Christy to piggyback off of that, but can you tell me a little bit about that strategy in distributing your own films? And then I would love for Christy to talk about a little bit about that and how that folds into Kinema and some of the films that have successfully been distributed.
Probably our blessing has been that we have no idea about this industry. Literally have no idea. And what you say to me is like, wow, I didn't even, I'm serious, I'm not, and I appreciate what you're saying. I highly appreciate it. But to me, the way we see it is like, I don't want to go to the emperor door at the castle, knocking at the door and beg him to help, to allow me to change the empire, because I'm here to disrupt it. So I want to find, and if the emperor comes to us and he tells, actually, I like what you do, you plebe. Do you want to see the movie? Okay, watch it. But I'm not gonna, you know, I'm not gonna get into terms, because most of us here are here because we want to make a different world. We want a world of justice and compassion. So, and that's why also, with Olive Trees Weep, for example, we find ourselves, we donated back 50%, we are donating back 50% of the profits. And the next project we have is 12 movies on the impact of colonization on indigenous culture worldwide. And we are launching it next in April and May theatrically. Then we come to you. Christy's incredible. Her platform is really fantastic, and she supports us on the where Olive Trees Weep immensely. We had 731. We just checked this morning. 733. Yeah. In 6 months. In 6 months, we got 733 screenings all over the world in 6 months. Yeah. And that's amazing. I mean, that's amazing. That's a grassroots. And also, yeah. Yeah. Oh, now I love it. I have my prompt there. No, it's good. When we launched Where Olive Trees Weep, obviously 50,000 people from our mailing list canceled. 50,000 people we lost on our mailing list. Wow. Yeah, but I don't care. Because those people, I don't necessarily want them in my list, actually. I don't want them. And now with the olive trees, we got another 100,000 again, because of, but it's you. It's the people we want to be associated with. You are our family. You are my brothers and sisters. You are my siblings. You are the people I want on my side when we do the revolution. Because we are doing it together. So, go back to the film.
Yeah, no, I want to ask because, I mean, the model that you've presented is sounds beautiful and like the way that we all want it to be. But in my head, I'm thinking, how do you regenerate? Like, how do you do that? Like, how does that process work? If there's a filmmaker in the audience who's like, I want to do the Maurizio way.
Yeah,
like, how do you do that?
Yeah. First of all, contact me. I will support you in any way. No, I'm serious. I'm not. Contact me. The way is find, as we were saying, the people in your space. There is a foundation with 300,000 people in your space. There is one. If you are doing something about social justice, contact them and say, hey, do you want to support this project? Make them partner. Then all of a sudden you have 300,000 people in your mailing list. And there we go. And you start. Do marketing, do promotion, be generous. And another thing we want to, in this new series of movies, The Eternal Song, we also want to find a new way in which we eliminate the money exchange. So, for example, you don't want to pay. It's not $0. It's do an act of compassion in your community. Smile to 50 people on the street in the next 3 days. Or go to the shelter and work for 2 hours. You want to watch the movie? It's free. But you do something for the world in exchange. So that's we always continue to figure it out. Thanks to all of you together, we have to figure out way to wedge this system, which the imperialistic, patriarchal, capitalistic system, and find a way out through our movies. So yes, find alliance, find allies, people who have large mailing lists, and the money will come. You can make a movie with your phone. Forget about waiting for the money. Do it if it's your passion. You do it on the weekend instead of watching YouTube or whatever you watch. You know, go out and make your freaking movie. And it will and the money will come. Things will come. And then hopefully the salesperson will come or the distributor. Or else you go to cinema. We'll find a way together. We are here together to make a difference.
Yeah, let's go to Kinema. I keep hearing about Kinema. Tell us more about Kinema and some of the success stories, because there are some, especially with Israelism.
Yeah.
So
I want to also respond to a few of the things that have been said, because it'll go into that. So what you're talking about too is having a really good strategy. So all the films that have been successful on the platform for filmmakers who are independently distributing and running their own campaign, it's very thoughtful and strategic. And so I was talking with, where's Tarek from 36 Seconds earlier, about planning earlier. So you want to get that sale, you want to find that sales agent at the festival, and you should have that big dream because you're working so hard for it, you want that sale. Also have your other plans. Like, what would it look like if you fully distributed yourself? And who are those organizations that you would work with? If you have a film that's released and you have an email list from the Wisdom of Trauma, you have a great starting place and a great brand for you as filmmakers and what people are familiar with. If you're starting from scratch, who are the partners that you can go to? Who are the organizations that are on board with your message that can help promote that film? And then kind of window out a strategy. Even if you're not doing your traditional theatrical to what used to be DVD windowing, you build your own. So what is you create artificial scarcity, as we say. So that one organization can host a screening and they can collect those email addresses. You only do in-person events for those who want to pay that higher licensing fee, and then roll it out and ideally make it free down the line. But it depends on your goals. You're trying to maximize revenue or go direct to the audience. And 2 case studies that we like to talk about. One is yours, because you guys had a very, very low barrier of entry to book the film. You could use like a $50 screening license because you want to have as many screenings as possible, or people could sell tickets. And you made like some decent money actually, but you split half of it because people could sell tickets and the organization can make money with you, with your film. And so you're one of our, I won't say the numbers, but you're like higher performing films. And I have another film that's done, you guys have done 730 screenings. She's done 120. She's technically made more money, but she's charging a higher screening fee because her goal was revenue. And so it's great, and what we see it works on the platform is, what are your goals? Is the goal revenue? That was hers. 120 screenings in a year, made a lot of money because she focused on high net worth individuals and large audiences that could pay. Wanting large audiences to see and take control of the film and use it for their own organizations. That's what you guys did, and you also were super successful in it. So I think what we've seen is having a smart strategy, being really clear about what your goals are, and then executing that strategy over a timeline. And for some of the films, the one, Israelism, I know Daniel, one of the producers, was here. They started doing festivals, college screenings, and online live screenings with us. They did end up selling their film probably about 6 months after they started doing screenings with us. So while it was everywhere, they had hundreds of thousands of people watching it. Watermelon Pictures picked it up. Yeah. So they did get a distributor and a sale afterwards. And it's happened to a few other films. We had a film on a documentary on Indigenous food sovereignty called Gather. It was on for a year and a half, and Netflix picked it up. Yeah. They proved that there was an audience for it, and they were able to do it without a distributor.
Yeah, I feel like
I did want to jump on that because honestly, approaching the self-distribution model, or even what I do, they're not mutually exclusive. In fact, almost all my films have a combination of the two. You know, even when, especially if I own the IP of my film, and you know, I've only licensed it for a specific window to some of these mainstream distributors. After that, it reverts back to me. And that is where I have, you know, I think Kinema is great, where you have an impact campaign that you can do and then continue reaching wider audiences. Or, you know, I mean, before Kinema, there was Tug and a few other, like, cinema. That's what I've used before. And now I'm learning more about Kinema through Ryan. Ryan Harrington. So it's not, I don't think the two are actually mutually exclusive. I think you end up doing a combination of the two, and whatever works for your specific.
And the bottom line is keep your rights. Don't give it. Don't sign. Oh, he's a producer. He must be good.
Or have them revert back to you. Actually, after a certain time period.
After a certain time frame or a window, or all that. But yeah, and the other thing which you just touched upon, which is great, especially if you want to do it like independently first and then get a distributor on board. They look at data. I mean, these streamers, that's actually, they care more about that than they actually do the film. Like you could, you know, so they don't really care about the film. But if you can prove that you've had like amazing numbers and viewers, and then they'll be like, oh yeah, well this actually, yeah.
Also, I want to give a plug for Picture Motion's been working on a campaign for a PBS show called American Muslims, and they carved out their rights. They're going to report really big numbers from PBS. It's going to be one of the top series that they've had this year. The team at Picture Motion told me this. They carved out the rights for non-theatrical, so now they're going on a screening tour with the film afterwards, thanks to a grant from Pop Culture Collaborative. So there is a way you can have like the traditional broadcast and still do an impact campaign and tour afterwards.
Well, I'm really interested in, I mean, Kinema feels to me so the way of the future in so many ways too. There's Joel Movies also getting into, you know, platform of self-distribution. And I'm sort of wondering what you think the outlook and future looks like in terms of filmmakers saying, well, I'm going to take this into my own hands. We have an audience. I'm not going to go through the monoliths or through the emperor. And as you say, which I love, can you speak a little bit about what that sort of like future looks like, or what you're seeing trending?
Yeah, I think technology's gotten better, to like your point earlier, that it's easier to build these platforms. They still cost money. You still pay into AWS, Amazon Web Services, for streaming. There are some hard costs that come with it. So I think we're still navigating that. It's kind of between, when you go with the distributor, you lose some control, but they take over some of the parts that you don't want to do. You might not want to do the marketing or raise the money for the publicist to be on the campaign. But you also lose control of that. You're not in control of your marketing. You don't get some control of the messaging. So there's pros or cons. And I think right now, when there's been a pullback of how much the streamers are spending on acquiring films, you kind of had to self-distribute. You had to go independently. So then everyone started looking at what were these tools online that we could use. I mean, you guys built it yourself with Wisdom of Trauma, right? And then we ended up working together because there's a lot of work on those platforms and the tech behind it and doing all the streaming for it. I don't know exactly where it's going. I think there'll be a bit of a correction. There was a lot more films being made. I think there might be a little bit less as as the investors are trying to make their money back from it. There's some really good stuff out right now, though. Like I'm at this festival, everything I've seen has been fantastic, and I haven't heard of a sale yet. And so that's indicative that unless I'm missing something, that's indicative that more people are going to have to go this independent route. But there are way more options. Jolt's great, Gather, us, Mubi. You can go to YouTube. You can work with an aggregator. You can work with Film Hub. It's just you need to then build your own budget for it because the distributor would take on those marketing costs. Now you're doing it. So I think what we try and encourage everyone to do is when you're raising for your production, I know it's easy to say and hard to do, but raise for your distribution and marketing costs as well.
Yeah, great.
I want to add something about the market. Sorry, Mo. Something about the market because people tend to say, how much you spend in marketing? I say, well, we gave, let's say, $300,000 to Meta. And people say, well, I don't have that money. But let's be aware that you start with $500. You give them $500, you get back 750. You put the 750, you get back 1,200. You get so. It's not that when at the end you hear I spent $300,000 in marketing, you have to add $300,000. Market is not as expensive as you think it is.
Do it incrementally.
Incrementally, and also you can find marketing partners that are partnering with you as producers, if you wish. Give them a cut at the end. Be creative. Sorry. Yo.
No, well, I was just going to add that just in terms of actual films and sales that are actually happening, I mean, they're especially in the documentary landscape, it is scary in the sense that barely any films are being acquired, and what you need, like, I can give you, and everyone in this room, we have the same challenges. Like, we are a marginal group in this country, so the projects that we're making they're already a huge challenge to get some of these streamers to kind of acquire them. I mean, I'll give you an example of Nisha's film, To Kill a Tiger, which was nominated for an Oscar. She had to make the film, which took 7 years. Yeah. She had to get Dev Patel. I forget who else. Other really big endorsed EPs. Then she had to get shortlisted. Then she had to get nominated. And then 3 days before the Oscars, Netflix picked it up. And there's a lot of films right now that are currently nominated that don't have distribution. And I'm sure you can guess why. But those are some really real challenges that we all have to deal with. But what I do love is that now there are these other platforms and other groups and things kind of coming out. So, yeah.
Well, what makes me mad and what I like doing this is because the audience is still there. Like, we still want to see these films. And so now if we have to wait for, and I'm going to use the term gatekeeper, but if we have to wait for one of the platforms we subscribe to buy it, in order for us to see it, that's unfair. Like, we can show you that the audience is there for your film, for Israelism, for the other films on our platform. So we like to do this because we're like, I want to see the films that I want to see. So I want a platform to be able to allow myself as an audience member to watch these films.
Yeah, and one thing I want to say, which is I'm glad you brought up that film, is because it takes place in India, right? And so, I mean, all of you, Maurizio as well, so many of your films have international components, and I want to talk about decentering the U.S. in terms of like distribution. How have you found your audience abroad with your films so that filmmakers, because there's so many filmmakers in this space who, first gen or, dual nationality or go overseas for their films, how should they approach that as well?
I think now that's become even more harder because the streamers have kind of taken over. But my previous film, The Accused, that was pre-commissioned by BBC Films and a lot of European money. Arte, ZDF, I think Canal Plus, and a few European distributors and broadcasters. In my experience, they're a little more amenable to international projects, and they're a little more. I don't like to make huge, gross generalizations because there's fabulous bigotry in Europe as well, but they are a little more open to at least somewhat more political or nuanced topics that I like to explore. I think that's becoming more and more difficult because even some of the streamers have their regional heads. And like Maurizio was saying, there's different dukes and duchess that across, and then they have to kiss the king's ring in Los Angeles. So I can if you guys are interested, I can happily do a very specific gameplay or strategize if you want to pitch something, for example, to a Netflix or an Amazon, whom to take it to first. So like one of the projects that I'm doing right now, well, not now, one of the previous ones, I knew I had to not pitch it to America first, I had to pitch it to UK first, because they were going to be my champions. Because I know their tastes, and I know that they'd be really into it.
So research is very, very, very,
And
very
then,
key.
well, yes, and I've also known that executive for several years before they were at Netflix, and I've been doing this a while where I actually know the people. And then I got them to then become friends with the Singapore office, the Asian office. And then together I had two champions. And then they went to the king. And so, look, there's two ways. And I think what we've been doing yesterday and today is exactly what Maurizio is saying. Either you tell the king to, and make your own castle, or you go in there and like Louis XVI, you take over slowly and you behead the king.
I love how this analogy is
or both.
expanded.
Or both. Yeah, we're getting somewhere. I just beautiful. I wanted to add. No, seriously, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
You have a wealth of knowledge that to me is like I'm really not. And thank you.
Sure.
Years, you know the game. We don't know the game. We are making it up. For the Wisdom of Trauma, again, what do? Find the champion in another country. We translated in 34 languages the movie, a subtitle in 30, and we made the website in there are 17 websites in 17 languages that but it's easy. If you have subtitle, people goes to the shopping cart, they don't understand what it means, obviously, so they will never watch the movie. So we made 17 subtitles, 17 websites in completely in different languages. And for example, in Germany, just now, we received news yesterday. In the last 6 months, over 100,000 people are still seeing the Wisdom of Trauma. It's 3.5 years later.
Wow.
4 years later.
How so? Like
people.
through your organization? Like how?
Throughout, again, partnership, friendship. We have a partner in Switzerland who has partnership in different places in Europe. And is hey, 50% of what we make, it's yours. It's okay, you want it, take it. And these people go and they have their marketing capability, they see the potential, and they help spread the movie. So you can do it your own way, or you can do it.
And this might be something new. I don't know if Kinema is doing this, but like, for example, documentaries, especially in the global south, are not as widely watched or accessible, but the fans that are there are huge fans. Yeah. And I've, so for example, in my native in Pakistan, but not just in Pakistan, in India, in Bangladesh, in Sri Lanka, especially subcontinent, and some parts of, I haven't explored so much in the Middle East as much, but there's like little documentary clubs that actually work with the filmmakers, and there's already pre-built distribution outlets informally, and they're kind of formalized over the last, it's kind of like the Oregon Trail, honestly, for the last 10 years, where like, if you have a documentary film and you want to show it around in Pakistan, they have a few set venues in like different cities, not just the main big ones like Karachi, Islamabad, or Peshawar, New York, but actually like Faisalabad or Aptabad, like some of the small, and they'll actually tour around. Same thing in India, and same thing we've done in Sri Lanka, and we collaborate with other film clubs in the subcontinent, and we've started doing that with a few other countries, like in Egypt and Morocco, and in the north. So I know this is like off topic, but it just kind of opens up a nice intersection with platforms like Kinema, where you can actually have. That's the other thing, guys. Like theatrical, if you're making a scripted film, has to be first, and then it can be the other windows. Documentaries, that's one of our advantages. Those windows don't really matter. You can do theatrical a year after your film has come out. That's happened with my films. Yeah.
We're on our last few minutes, so I just want to do some audience questions. So anybody have any questions? Yes, Justin.
Thank you guys for being here. I'll be quick with my question.
By the way, Mubarak on your film. That was beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Hey. We should be clapping for you, sir. So for Maurizio, you mentioned like your marketing prowess is gangster. Is amazing. I saw both of those films. I saw so many Instagram ads for them that I could literally not like say no to watching the films. So I'm kissing the ring. However, I want you to break down the science a little bit of what you guys did. As far as like you're talking about marketing, you had to create marketing assets, okay? In my experience with a lot of filmmakers, they're like, I made a movie, here you go, bye, people go watch it. And you're like, no, you need a lot of, so I want you to talk that out. Because I've learned that on my own, but you're a gangster, you're a scientist, and I want to learn from your knowledge.
We are a gang. So we are a cartel. No, pure point. The work starts after you finish the film. So basically, you have all the outtakes. You have beautiful scene of the movie. Don't be afraid of giving away a beautiful scene of the movie. I mean, come on. So create 20 clips. Create all this. Put them out. A and B testing, right? On Instagram, on Meta, or whatever you want, YouTube. But A/B testing. You put 20 of them. 18 they will do nothing. One of them will explode. Bet on that one. The $200 goes on this one. Then it becomes $300. So it's a matter of elimination. And it doesn't have to be expensive, again. But you have to work. You have to create data to give away data.
You know, I have...
Meta blocked all of our ads.
No, because that's very important. They blocked many of our ads. They tried to block our accounts. So we were gearing against that current of like resistance.
Of Zionism, yeah.
Yeah.
And not only everybody who shared our ads, who shared our ads, they receive a message, you will be blocked on Instagram. Most of them fake messages, but people get scared. So we didn't get as viral as the wisdom of trauma because people were afraid. It's Palestine. It's the genocide.
Christy, I feel like you have things to say.
Well, I was curious. Did you guys take photos, Maurizio and Zaya? Did you guys take like? Because when we see the films upload to our platform, we're always surprised that there's only like 6 photos that people have because we share those marketing materials with the screening hosts. Did you guys take photos?
We have plenty.
You guys
didn't
do.
know.
Yeah.
No, we didn't know you needed them.
Oh, I see.
Hundreds of photos.
Not just you guys, I feel like others. But did you have a photographer on set? Were you collecting photos, or how do you collect all that stuff?
We have our discs up there. You want to come here direct?
We use materials from our work, not photos.
No, because you guys capturing them on set, basically.
Yeah.
Like for advice for filmmakers, how much do you collect while you're shooting?
We have a lot of stuff.
Some. We don't have the time for that when we're on shoot. That's an issue. It's true. We have 130 terabytes for our next project, but very little behind the scenes.
Yeah, because the next project is 12 movies. There.
Hi, I actually helped organize a screening of your film where Olive Trees Weep at Columbia University in New York. Beautiful film. Ashiro did a Q&A with us. And I think my question is, I'm more so of a fiction filmmaker, narrative, and so I'm trying to think through, with your advice, Mo, and your advice, how to kind of like bridge building in both directions, like within the system and outside of the system, because my ultimate goal is to find like radical, revolutionary filmmaking community, and that's much harder within like a niche space like this one, but then to also make things that can be considered commercial, which just means that everybody can watch it and enjoy it and take something from it, which is like all of our stuff is commercial, I think. It happens to be political because our existences are political. So I'm kind of trying to take from both of you in a way to like also help us as a feature fiction filmmakers as well. Thank you.
Well, I like I was saying, I don't think the two are mutually exclusive anymore. I think there's an element that anyone making a film now, even myself, has to consider both approaches, and it's hard to give you a clear one. To give you very pragmatic advice, it has to be very tailored, specific to your specific project, right? So is it a film that deals with identity? Is it a coming of age story? Is it what genre is it? And then through that I can begin at least narrowing down whether, for example, if it is just like a private film where you're trying to get private equity from different sources and grants, and you go down that route, even that, you have to be strategic about, well, who's going to actually give you money, you know, from those institutions and things. Or is it something that you can go through an agent and actually shop it around or whatever, and you can at least at the outset start that process. But I think one thing is where I align with Maurizio is just begin making your film. It'll get made. I know that sounds like whatever. What does that even mean? But it's really true. If you're slightly schizophrenic, where you are kind of like tunnel vision to kind of get this film made no matter what, but then there's another part of you that is also pragmatic and a bit of a producer, I see a more macro approach, and inshallah you'll get it made. I mean, I'd be happy to give anyone who's interested more specific advice, depending on what their film is. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if that answers your question or anything, but yeah.
Yes, Gomez.
Thanks everyone for your wisdom. I had a question specifically. Maybe it's more to you because I wouldn't want to put you guys on the on the spot. But I would love to get a little bit more kind of hard numbers of like maybe on your platform. What's the kind of range? What's the median? What's the average? I have experience, back in the day I produced a film that was the opener for POV on PBS, and, PBS paid us, I'll give a number, like around $50,000 for a film that costs like 4, 5, 6 times that. We did make, some money with educational, which is also another really great way of kind of, because the screening fees are so much higher, and they fly you out, and you make a lot more money. So educational is another thing I want to kind of put out there. But yeah, if you can give us some kind of numbers, whatever you and both of you are comfortable to give us, to kind of compare just like what are we actually looking at, kind of in terms of ranges or anything.
I can give you some rough numbers. So I think right now maybe there's like about 700 films on the platform. I'd say about half of those films are library titles that are partnerships we have with theatrical distributors, and I'd call them like largely inactive. They get booked every once in a while. If they're seasonal, it's API Heritage Month or Black History Month, you'll see a few titles get picked up again. Then there's kind of the middle section that's like, I'd probably put them at the average. They might be between like 20 and 120 screenings, and they're gonna be anywhere between a few $1,000s to like $40,000 in revenue. We work specifically with your non-theatrical exhibition license. So these are people paying a licensing fee or selling tickets to have a screening of the film. And we also offer like TVOD, direct audience rentals. That's just it's a smaller portion. Then you have like the top like 5 to 10%. I'd say the top like 5%, I don't want to give anything away, but they're going to be making over like $120,000, $180,000. So our top film, which I mentioned, she's higher than that, and she's only done 120 screenings because her licensing fees are so high. So I'd say like the top performers are going to be over that $100,000 amount, and the range of screenings could be anywhere from like 100 to 800. If that helps.
I'd be happy to give you a range if you want. So, for example, I would say my features, not the series stuff. And this is going back to the budgets have ranged between $500,000 to a little over $1 million. Right? The budget. No, so I'm just telling you. So some of these have been pre-commissioned, and some of them have been totally independently cobbled together and financed. Now, the ones that have been pre-commissioned, that's it. The sale was done. Whatever. But the ones that I kind of took and got a sales agent and then independently licensed and all that, we have made revenue of on the lower end of things. We've only recouped maybe 60%, and in other instances with the license and educational sales and things, we've recouped up to 180% of our budget. So, which is pretty good. I mean, it's a little break-even-y because you still have to pay out all the stuff, but it's a documentary. I mean, why are you even making documentaries? Which, yeah.
I think we have time for 2 more quick
Well, I want
questions.
to add my few numbers for fairness, because I don't want to be the hiding behind the curtain. With the Olive Tree Sweep, as you said, we got 700 screening. About 200,000 people saw it. At this point, we have been able to donate to the end of the year, pay the cost of the marketing, pay the production of the film. We have been able to donate so far about over $200,000 to the Palestinian cause directly. Because, yeah, we donate 50% of our profit. We plant over 2,000 olive trees, but there is 1,000 coming out in the West Bank. The settlers destroyed 4,000 olive trees last year, and we plant 3,000. So, okay, slowly. So, just to give you some scale.
Do we have room for 2 more questions? Yes.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you guys. We actually use Kinema. We have a film called The Evidence, and it's just doing a circuit. It's just won the Sundance film. It's on the Swedish Film Festival for Best Documentary. One thing I want to say that Kinema makes it so easy. One of the things that is you worry about your film, sharing the files with people. So we're getting around at universities. So our film got leaked on Twitter. But with Kinema, the beautiful thing is it's very secure. You just put it on, and you're not sharing the files. You just download it. They make that extremely easy. I just want to just say that out there.
That's really kind. Thank you.
Yes. I wanted to ask you, with everything shutting down with all these main streamers, you can't take a film called The Evidence, which is war crimes committed against the Palestinians by IDF, to Netflix, to Apple TV, because they just won't shut it. What are you doing to do on demand? Because you're already in the space, you're very close. It's a matter of just pushing it a little bit more and saying Kinema is the platform. You can work very, directly with maybe you have a 1-year agreement with them so they don't leave. So right now you can leave Kinema anytime you want. 1 month and you can just leave, which is amazing. A lot of freedom. Yeah. So that's it.
Thank you for that plug. I think, so one of the things we're doing, so when we built, the other, principle we had was this idea of all boats rise together. And so when someone comes onto our platform, we do say, if you you have 700 screenings that happen, so long as those screening hosts don't unsubscribe or say they don't want to hear, I will promote the evidence to your screening hosts. We will curate the new films that come on because we want to bring your hosts other films that they support. So the idea is that we can helpfully do some capacity building around different types of films. So you own your information, you can export those email addresses, but also we want to share that with the new filmmakers that come. We're still super small. We want to be able to build, have a stronger television app than just casting. We want to have a better budget so we can market us overall, but we're baby steps because we're small. So we do offer transactional VOD, so people can rent the film from you. You set the price. You can offer pay what you wish. You could do gifting. So the new features that we're turning on. I don't know if I'm answering the question directly, but we're moving in that direction because we do want to be that place. We do want to take on that risk, which is why we have lawyers, for what might be considered more controversial content.
Yeah. We want to say a little story about Kinema. As you said, they protect you. With the wisdom of trauma, I had to put down from YouTube 800 pirate time, the movie. The movie was pirated 800 times. There was, this is a cute story. The documentary pirate organization, I put them down on Facebook. They attacked me like crazy to the point that they said, you better leave your house. We are the Moldavian mafia. Serious story. At that point, I said, but why? Why don't you become an affiliate? You get 50% of the donation. I swear to God, they are our affiliate now. I swear to God. I swear to God. I don't say the name of the platform because I don't want them to. Sorry, I'm going to say your name, but yeah. So they are our affiliate, and now they promote both our movies, and they make a few $100s a month, and they make more than they would have made by pirating. So just another story of getting weird, right? Getting gangster, right?
Amazing. I think we have time for one more question. Anybody? Yes.
Hi. My name is Akash. I'm in pre-production on a documentary about long-term HIV survivors. And I was really curious when you were talking about balancing out the approaches of going for an independent alternative distribution route while eventually seeking, traditional distribution, for lack of a better phrase. How do you balance that out? Because I have no idea.
What do you want to do? And what works for your film, or what would be your ideal goal?
I think as a new filmmaker, ultimately my goal with the documentary is for people to see it and for it to impact policy change on HIV.
Okay, but so how for example, you can get a huge audience definitely through with Maurizio, and the numbers you're showing are, mashallah, so impressive. Or you could try, for example, going through a streamer who have millions of subscribers worldwide. I think you have to see what it is that you want to first try to do, and it's also a bit like A/B testing. I mean, the market will start giving you feedback, and your main goal is to make that film.
Yeah.
So continue making that film, and if you want to really, really make that film, then that choice, at least in those initial phases, might be made for you. Like, you know, I mean, I can tell you, at least in the market right now, I'm pretty sure it's going to be independent initially, you know, and you will have to get that development money or that initial through production and all that through grants or through private sources and all of that before some of those other conversations become viable, you know. And you're a first-time filmmaker, or?
Yes.
So yeah, especially if you're a first-time filmmaker. So yeah.
Hey, gosh.
Hi.
So we've had a couple filmmakers do it. I won't say their names because I don't want to out them. But they do secret screenings. So they're on the platform, they're in private mode, and they're only letting a few people book screenings. But they're trying to get distribution still. And so they would do secret screenings, I guess. They would let. So there was one film in particular. They probably did about 50. They were in-person screenings. They didn't want their sales agent to know because the sales agent said it was going to ruin their chances of getting a deal. So I don't know if this helps, but like there's ways to like they were still trying to get a deal, but they also were still showing the film for the people that wanted to see it, the people it was helpful to, and to bring in a little extra cash.
Okay, thank you. That's very helpful because I feel like when, as a first-time filmmaker, trying to put all the pieces together of the actual film itself and then thinking about the broader question, it gets a little overwhelming at times.
Oh yeah.
I think that's fair too, and also I think from this panel I've taken away a lot that like filmmakers, we have autonomy now, or we should think of it as we have autonomy now. We should exercise it. We should get our friends and our community together to lift it up. And we love Kinema very much. We need your space more than ever.
We need your great films, so because we know there's audiences for it.
I need to do this. I apologize. I need your help because we have this project that we have together. We want to do something entirely different than what we have been doing. So, and I don't know yet what it is, so please come. It's basically there are 12 films on the impact of colonization on indigenous culture worldwide. We went from Greenland to Kenya to New Zealand, Australia, Hawaii, Brazil, into different places, Northern Canada, 10 different places. And we want to do something even more absurd to freak out the emperor, because this is up his alley. So we want to come up with a powerful theatrical release worldwide, and then come to you and do an online event. So anyway, if somebody has some weird ideas of how you can make a dream of an insane thing like this happen, please, because we launch in May, so we need you.
Amazing.
We have a plan, but we need you to improve with us. It's theeternalsong.org is the website, so if you want to.
Thank you.
So sorry.
No apologies.
Otherwise, Zaya's going to kick me.
Well, I want to thank you all for being guideposts and North Stars on distribution. So thank you so much, Christy and Maurizio and Mo, for being here. Thank you.